Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by for NIO Incorporated's third quarter 2024 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Today's conference call is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to your host, Mr. Ray Chen, Head of Investor Relations of the company. Please go ahead, Ray.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to NIO's third quarter 2024 earnings conference call. The company's financial and operating results were published in the press release earlier today and are posted on the company's IR website. On today's call, we have Mr. William Li, Founder, Chairman of the Board and CEO, Mr. Stanley Qu, CFO. Before we continue, please be kindly reminded that today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made under the safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's actual results may be materially different from the views expressed today. Further information regarding risks and uncertainties is included in certain filings of the company with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong Limited, and the Singapore Exchange Securities Trading Limited. The company does not assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as required under applicable law. Please also note that NIO's earnings press release and this conference call include discussions of unaudited GAAP financial information as well as unaudited non-GAAP financial measures. Please refer to NIO's press release, which contains a reconciliation of the unaudited non-GAAP measures to comparable GAAP measures. With that, I will now turn the call over to our CEO, Mr. William Li. William, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining NIO's 2024 Q3 earnings call. In Q3, the company achieved a new quarterly record with 61,855 deliveries. The NIO brand maintained its position as the top-selling brand in China's BEV segment, priced above 300,000 yuan, with its market share reaching 48%. The NIO brand also started to deliver its first model L60 on September 28th, marking its entry into the broader mainstream family market. In October 2024, the company delivered 20,976 vehicles. While the NIO brand continued to ramp up production capacity, the company's total deliveries in Q4 are expected to be between 72,000 and 75,000 units. On the financial side, our Q3 results reflected continued improvement in component costs, leading to a vehicle margin of 13.1%. Besides, the gross margin of other sales has improved steadily. Supported by sustained growth in revenues and gross margin, the company achieved a positive operating cash flow and free cash flow in Q3. Now, I would like to share with you some updates on our products, R&D, and operations. NIO's executive flagship ET9 is in the final testing and preparation before mass production, and the delivery is expected to start in March next year. The ET9 brings together NIO's leading innovations. Its delivery will reinforce NIO's premium brand image. With new models to be introduced in the coming year, the NIO brand will be more focused on improving profitability. The NIO L60, aiming at the mainstream family market, has been a hit with family users thanks to its spacious cabin, ultra-low energy consumption, comprehensive safety features, and hassle-free charging and swapping experience. Now, we are ramping up our supply chain capacity. NIO's monthly production capacity is expected to hit 10,000 units in December and 20,000 units by March. Besides, On December 21st, NIO's third brand, officially named Firefly, will make a global debut on NIO Day 2024. Its first product will be delivered in the first half of next year. Targeting the boutique compact car market, the Firefly brand will enrich the company's product lineup and make full use of existing sales networks. In terms of smart driving, by October, NIO's smart driving had over 610,000 users, and 78.4% had activated NIO's Navigate on Pilot. Together, they had driven over 1.39 billion kilometers with NOP. The Envoy Smart Driving, based on the company's experience and expertise built over time, was rolled out with the S60, making Envoy the first brand to deliver vision-based and navigation-guided smart driving on urban roads. The company's sales footprint continued to grow. So far, NIO has 176 NIO houses and 412 NIO spaces worldwide, while Envoy has 191 stores across China. On the service end, the company has 398 service centers and 65 delivery centers. The Power Up Counties plan is making strong headway, with more partners joining us in expanding the network. As of now, the company has 2,737 power swap stations worldwide, including 887 on highways, having provided over 58 million swaps for NIO and Envoy users. In addition, over 24,000 power chargers and destination chargers are up and running. We continue to expand globally. On November 28th, the first NIO house in the MENA region will open in Abu Dhabi, and our sales and delivery have already started in the UAE. Next year, with new products from Envoy and Firefly, the company will accelerate its international market entry. On September 29th, NIO China signed a new investment agreement and secured 3.3 billion yuan from the strategic investors. This capital boost reinforces our balance sheet and reflects the investors' high confidence in NIO's industry leadership. On October 26th, the 2024 NIO Cup Formula Student Electric China came to an end. Supporting the event for 10 years, NIO has helped more than 60,000 talented students chase their dreams in the rapidly evolving smart EV industry. November 25th marks NIO's 10th anniversary, a milestone that wouldn't have been possible without the trust and the support of our users and investors. Going forward, as the NIO brand starts to enter new product cycle, and Envoy and Firefly will deliver more new products, the company is embarking on a phase of robust growth. We are confident in what's to come. Thank you for your support. With that, I will now turn the call over to Stanley for Q3's financial details. Over to you, Stanley.
Thank you, William. Let's now review our key financial results for the third quarter of 2024. Our total revenues were 18.7 billion RMB, decreased 2.1% year-over-year and up 7% quarter-over-quarter. Vehicle sales were 16.7 billion RMB, down 4.1% year-over-year, primarily driven by a lower average selling price due to changes in product mix, partially offset by higher deliveries. Vehicle sales increased 6.5% quarter-over-quarter, which was mainly due to the increased delivery volumes. Moving to the performance of other business. Other sales were 2 billion RMB, grew by 19.2% year-over-year and 11.9% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to the increase in sales of parts, accessories, and after-sales vehicle services and provision of power solutions, and partially offset by lower sales of used cars. The increase quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributed to the increase in sales of parts, accessories, and after-sales vehicle services and provision of power solutions. Vehicle margin was 13.1% in this quarter, compared to 11% in the same period of 2023 and 12.2% last quarter. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to decreased material cost per unit and partially offset by lower average selling price as a result of changes in product mix. The quarter-over-quarter increase was mainly due to decreased material costs per unit. Overall gross margin was 10.7%, up from 8% in the same period of last year and 9.7% in the last quarter. Turning to OPEX, R&D expenses were 3.3 billion RMB, increased 9.2% year-over-year and 3.1% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year increase was both mainly driven by the increased personnel costs in R&D functions. SG&A expenses were 4.1 billion RMB, increased 13.8% year-over-year at 9.3% quarter-over-quarter, which was mainly driven by higher personnel costs related to sales functions and increased sales and marketing activities associated with new product launch. Loss from operations was 5.2 billion RMB, up 8.1% year-over-year and relatively flat quarter-over-quarter. Net loss was 5.1 billion RMB, showing an increase of 11% year-over-year and remaining relatively stable quarter-over-quarter. Lastly, we ended the quarter with a stronger balance sheet, with total cash and cash equivalents, restricted cash, short-term investments, and long-term time deposits amounting to 42.2 billion RMB. That wraps up our prepared remarks. For more information and the details of our unaudited third quarter 2024 financial results, please refer to our earnings press release. Now I will turn the call over to the operator to start our Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star 2. If you're on a speakerphone, please pick up the handset to ask your question. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, please limit yourself to 2 questions. And if you have additional questions, you can re-enter the queue. Your first question comes from Tim Hsiao with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, NIO management team. This is Tim from Morgan Stanley. Thanks for taking my questions. I have 2 questions. The first one is about brand strategy alignment, because we noticed since the L60, Onvo L60 was launched in September, the orders of NIO brands and Onvo brand have been seesawing. The order trends of NIO and Onvo appear contrary. Should we be worried about the potential cannibalization between these 2 brands when it comes to the end demand brand proposition and the supply chain management? That's my first question. Thank you.
谢谢 Tim。我们10月份的话呢 ，NIO 的这个交付量和9月底有一些下降，这个总的来说是一个主动的调整，因为我们确确实实在9月份之前，我们几个月都是每个月的交付到2万辆，但是我们也意识到这个我们的毛利的这个压力是非常大的，因为持续提高 NIO 的毛利是我们一个核心的目标，所以我们在10月份的时候呢，我们是收窄了不少这个促销的支出啊，我们应该是大体上和9月底的话相比的话，我们收窄了15000左右的这个促销的支出。那所以我们当然这个肯定是会对销量是有一些影响的，但这个基本上在我们预期中的事情。 所以我们当然看到11月份的话，我们已经看到了我们前期的一些价格稳定了以后，我们的需求重新恢复啊。目前来看的话呢，是按照我们的这个计划在前进的。那我们认为这个用2个品牌或者用3个品牌去这个面对不同的用户，从目前来看是一个成功的策略，是一个成功的品牌策略。那乐道的话呢，它的主要的用户确确实实还是从跟它竞争的这个价格区间的用户啊，比如说现在乐道的第1大用户来源是 Model 3的用户。那我们也自己在内部分析一些数据啊，那乐道对于 NIO 的这个用户的影响我们自己的这个数据显出大概只有2%左右的影响，确实有很少的一些用户他因为这个乐道的话呢就不买 NIO 啊，有很少的一些用户，但是我们目前的数据大概只有2%左右，所以我们的获得的这个增量的话远远大于这个减少啊，所以总的来说我们认为这个是成功的一个策略。
Thank you for the question. Regarding the overall delivery volume of the NIO brand, you see a decrease in our delivery volume starting October. That is more of a active adjustment than a passive result. As before October, our monthly delivery volume was above 20,000 units for several months consecutively. But in the meantime, we also realized that the vehicle margin has been under pressure as we have some promotions and marketing expenses on the product. Then starting October, we have dialed back on our expenses on that part by reducing around 15,000 RMB per unit on the promotional costs and the marketing costs. With that, inevitably, you see the impact on the sales volume. But starting November, as we are stabilizing our delivery volume and the demand, we are seeing the recovery from our volume. And regarding our brand strategy, overall speaking, we think that using 2 or 3 brands to target different user groups is a successful strategy for now. For the Envoy, it is still competing with other competitors in the same price segment. Right now, when we are looking at the main source of the Envoy users, a majority of them actually come from the Model 3 users. And internally, we're also looking at the potential competition between the Envoy brand and the NIO brand. But the actual overlapping or the impact on the NIO brand is pretty minimum, only around 2%. It is true that few users may choose Envoy over NIO, but the overall impact on the sales and delivery of the NIO brand is limited. In that case, the combined increments of both Envoy and NIO still surpass the volume loss we had on the NIO brand in the past 1 or 2 months.
刚才那个 Model 3说我们的第1大这个来源是 Model 3，不是 majority。
To clarify that, to look at the source of our Envoy users, the top 1 source of these Envoy users actually is coming from Model 3.
Thank you very much, William. My second question is about the production ramp up. Because we noticed the production ramp up of L60 so far is still a little bit slow. What is the main reason to a more moderate ramp up pace? Would there be any impact to our current order backlog towards the year end? And in the meantime, in view of the busy model pipeline of Fireflies and also the NIO ET9 in March next year, as William just mentioned, and more upcoming models under Envoy and NIO, how would the group consider solving the bottlenecks into 2025? That's my second question. Thank you.
谢谢 Tim。其实这个 L60 呢，确确实实大家期待它的产能能够爬升得更快一些。但如果我们去看它用的最新的这些技术，比如说我们900伏的技术，它会影响到电池的生产，会影响到电机的生产。那包括我们的这个是我们的也用了非常多的我们的新的这个电子电器的架构啊。那我们的这个椰子这个 coconut 的这个架构也是非常先进的一个架构，里面有很多的这种技术都是非常新的。那所以总体上来讲的话呢，我们这个是预期中的一个爬坡节奏，我们并没有去通过建立一个非常大的 launch stock 的这样一个做法去显得第1个月或者说第2个月的交付量能够显著的高一些，因为我们其实就是一个比较正常的爬坡节奏。所以如果看完整的交付月的话，我们12月份的话呢， 第3个完整交付能到1万台，然后我们在明年3月份我们的这个交付目标，我们的产能和交付目标是2万台，我们认为这是一个合理的一个爬坡的节奏。所以总体上来说，可能主要是大家的这个期望和这个有一些差距。那确确实实呢，因为最近的话，中国有很多这个有一些补贴，地方的补贴，还有一些国家的这样一些这个像置换的很多方面的一些补贴那目前的一些政策都是到年底的，所以呢，我们因为现在的交付要到明年去，客观上也会影响一些订单这个影响还是不小的那我们也看到了，我们有50-60%的用户那在这个战败的原因吧，50-60%确确实实因为近期没法提车。你也可以理解，对于一个20万左右的车来讲的话，那可能1到2万块钱的这个补贴是非常大的一个数字，所以这也能理解。ET9 和 Firefly 也会有自己的爬坡的节奏，但总的来说的话呢，我们会更积极的去建一些 launch store。
Thank you for the question. For the Onvo L60, it's true that people have the market has a higher expectation for its ramp up and production capacity. However, we also need to understand that L60 comes with a lot of cutting edge technologies. For example, it has the 900-volt high voltage architecture, which is also intertwined with the production and the preparation of the battery and the powertrain systems. It also has a pretty advanced architecture, its operating system and digital system like Coconut also equipped with a lot of new technologies. So such technology preparation will also take time. And we also didn't prepare a sufficient launch stock so that we will realize a very high delivery in the first month. We actually believe that ramping up to 10,000 units per month in December, that is our 3rd month of the full month delivery, and then ramping up to 20,000 in March next year is a reasonable speed and pace. It's true that this speed may not live up to some of your expectations. And we also understand that on the subsidy side, by the end of this year, some local subsidies and also the national trade-in subsidy will be gone. In that case, for some users who placed the order later may not have their cars picked up by the end of this year, and that will affect their subsidy. In that case, we have also looked at the users who eventually turned us off or turned us down, and 50-60% of those users eventually rejected us, or because of the late delivery and the failure of not getting the subsidy by the end of this year. It's also understandable, as after all, Onvo product is around 200,000 something, and 10 or 20,000 subsidy can be a significant amount to them. For ET9 and the Firefly, in general, they also have their own ramp-up pace and the preparation. But for these 2 products, we will prepare the launch stock more actively.
Thank you, Tim.
The next question comes from Nick Lai with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my questions, Nick from JP Morgan. My first question for William is strategically, how do we find a balance between profitability and volume? And William just mentioned that in the third quarter or in recent months, we reduced the incentive by 15,000 RMB. That obviously should support the vehicle margin into year end, but at the same time, that's probably at expense of the slower sales volume. So longer term, can you share with us how should we think about the balance between profit margin and volume? Or in other words, do we have a desired vehicle margin in 4Q or in the medium to longer term? I remember NIO in the past talk about longer term vehicle margin between 15-18% or even 20%. Can you share with us the medium to longer term volume and profit margin strategy? Thanks.
Okay. Hi, Nick. 我是 Stanley。刚刚关于这个量和利润的这个 balance， 其实刚刚 William 也提到，就是蔚来品牌呢，在乐道上市之后呢，我们还是会坚持在蔚来品牌的高端定位，所以呢怎么样能够持续去提升它的这个盈利能力，变成了我们的一个主要的关注点。所以刚刚你也说，我们其实从10月份开始，我们收窄了我们的这个销售政策。 那从毛利的，当然量短期会有一些影响，但是呢，我们也从这10月到11月近期的这个1个半多月的这个运营当中，也看到我们的这个backlog 这个回升的这样的一个态势。然后另外从毛利的这个维度呢，我们3季度的毛利是13.1%，那你也会看到就是当然这个到4季度啊，就是我们的毛利呢，在4季度呢，我们还是会维持我们15%的一个目标，所以我们也比较有信心，未来品牌在4季度的时候，应该是毛利可以逐步提升到15%。当然呢，随着整个的刚刚讲的这个未来高端品牌定位的这样的一个提升吧，那我们的毛利呢，在2025年呢，我们以15%为基础，我们也不断的去优化我们的市场策略，优化我们的供应链。我们的目标呢是逐步的去在2025年把我们的毛利从15%未来品牌提升到20%。
Thank you for the question. This is Stanley speaking. Regarding your question on the balance between the volume and the profitability, as also mentioned by William, after the launch of the Envo, for the NIO brand, our primary focus is to keep enhancing our premium brand positioning and improve our product profitability. So this will be our focus from now and beyond. And also starting October, we started to dial back on our product promotions and incentives. For the short term, it has affected our sales volume. But in the past 1 month or so with operations, we also see a bounce back momentum on our order backlog. And regarding the vehicle margin of the NIO brand, in the third quarter, it's 13.1%. And for the fourth quarter, we set the target at 15% for the NIO brand, and we are confident to gradually live up to that target in Q4 this year. And as we keep enhancing the premium positioning of this brand for the year of 2025, we will take 15% vehicle margin as the baseline. And by improving our marketing strategies and supply chain, we target to realize 20% gross margin going forward for the NIO brand.
Thank you. My second question is related to CapEx and OpEx guidance. As we are launching new brand Firefly into 25 and also higher-end EV product, higher-end ET9 product, and so on. So can you give us some guidance regarding OpEx, either OpEx ratio as well as CapEx in 25? Thanks.
好的 ，Nick， 确实因为刚才我们也说明年我们 ET9 也会 launch， 然后明年也会有3个品牌的这个 launch。从这个运营费用上来讲呢，我们也看到就是我们在3季度的时候，整个的尤其是销售费用SG&A 的这个维度上升了不少。那这里面呢有一部分就是增加的金额。主要是来自于这个乐道的这个销售网络的这个建设和销售的准备的支出。那到4季度呢，那这部分的支出呢也会再增加，因为我们刚刚也提到，我们目前呢是190家店，那到我们年底的目标呢还是要做到300家店。那明年呢，为了到3月份我们实现2万的这样的一个目标，那我们其实也会在逐步的进一步的扩张我们的这个销能，对吧？销售网络和人员。所以呢，在明年1季度呢，乐道的整个的这个基本上的这个销能到位之后呢，整个的投入产出会有相应的比较好的这个配比。那在这之前呢，相对来讲就是我们的销售费用占到我们销售的这个比例呢会相对会高一点。那到明年的1季度之后呢，1季度开始慢慢的会恢复正常，所以整个的那整体来看呢，整个的这个 OPEX 随着我们明年的这个销量的逐步的提升呢，我们还是有信心去实现一个季度白季度的一个费效的一个提升。那从 CapEx 的维度呢，今年呢整个的 CapEx 的投入是比去年有大幅度下降的。基本上从目前来看呢，全年在80亿左右的一个水平吧。那明年呢，我们因为预算还在做， 但是呢，我们整个的目标呢，可能还是控制在差不多的一个水平吧。我们会比较仔细的去管理我们所有的这个 CapEx 的这个投入。
Thank you for the question. As mentioned, starting next year, we will start to deliver our ET9, and there will also be new models coming from our second and the third brand. So overall speaking, there will be increments with our OPEX. As you can see, actually, in the third quarter of this year, we already see an increment in our SG&A expenses. That is mainly because we were preparing the sales network and the sales force for the launch of the Onvo brand. And such expenses will continue in Q4 and will also continue to increase in Q4, as right now we have around 190 Onvo stores in China, and by the end of this year, we plan to have around 300 stores up and running for the Onvo brand. So we will need to invest in those facilities and the stores. And in the meantime, as our target for March next year is to realize a 20,000 monthly target, in that case, we will need to keep improving our sales network and also sales force. But as we are building up the sales capacity and the capability for the Onvo brand, and going into Q1 next year, when the capability and capacity are well established, our SG&A expenses will also gradually coming down. So at the moment, the SG&A is taking the major chunk, taking a big chunk of our sales revenue, but this will gradually come to a reasonable level starting Q1 next year. In that case, our OPEX, along with the increase of our sales volume, will have an efficiency improvement quarter over quarter from next year. Regarding CapEx, this year our overall CapEx actually had a significant decrease from last year. The full year CapEx is around 8 billion RMB, and for next year we will keep it at around the same level. So we will keep a very prudent management of our CapEx expenses.
Thank you, Nick.
Your next question comes from Ming-San Lee with Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Hi, William. This is Ming from Bank of America. So my first question is related to the situation in Europe. I want to know that after the tariff in EU is increased, do you change your pricing strategy? And currently, does this impact the demand in Europe? Thank you. That's my first question.
好，谢谢明。那欧洲的关税肯定会影响到我们的一个这个价格的策略。我们目前总体上我们还是用成本加成的一个全球统一定价的方式，所以总的来说，我们欧洲的这个车的价格都是上涨了不少的。那当然，从我们在欧洲市场的一个战略的角度来讲的话呢，这个肯定是一个比较长期的一个策略啊。我们当下的主要的工作重点还是去建立我们的这个销售和服务体系，了解当地的用户的这样的一些需求，那么把用户满意度呢是放在第一位去考虑。那所以这个其实也不是因为这个关税的调整，我们其实在过去这个几年，我们基本上都不是以销量为优先的这样一个策略，我们是控制在一个合理的投入，以这个品牌的以用户满意度和品牌的这样一个总体的建设为我们的一个优先目标。那我们当然清楚这个是一个非常非常长期的投入。当然挪威的话呢，目前是没有影响的，所以我们挪威的销售是不受这个关税的这个影响的。所以其他的4个国家确实是受到了这个影响，对销量也会有一些影响，但对我们总体的公司总体经营来说影响不大。
Thank you for the question. It's true that with the tariff on the battery electric vehicles from China, it has affected our pricing strategy and also sales volume in Europe. Overall speaking, for the overseas market, we still adopt this unified global pricing strategy. That is basically a cost with a markup on top. In that case, because of the tariff, our prices in Europe actually has gone up quite significantly. However, our strategy for the European market is always aiming for the long term. At the moment, we will stay focused on improving our sales and service network. understanding the needs of the local users and to improve our user satisfaction on the services and the products. This is actually where this strategy is not just because of the tariff. Even before the tariff, we've been focusing on the several key targets than simply prioritizing our sales volume. We will need to make sure that we have a reasonable investment into our European business while maintaining a good user satisfaction and also improving our brand awareness. Again, our target for the Europe is for the long term. And also out of the 5 European countries we have already entered, Norway is not affected by the tariff policy. In that case, our sales volume in the Norwegian market is still pretty good.
Yes, thank you. So my second question is related to the gross margin profile for onboard brand, because Stanley just mentioned the NIO brand in 4Q gross margin will continue to improve to around 15%. But assume you will deliver around 20,000 units onboard in 2024. What is the rough gross margin profile for this brand? And when your monthly delivery reach 20,000 units for onboard brand, what is the potential gross margin profile for the brand? Thank you.
好的，明。2024年呢，因为乐道 L60处于爬产的初期，再加上早期的这个用户权益呢，所以总体的这个毛利相对较低。但是2024年整体来说，这2万台呢，我们还是有正向的毛利的，是一个个位数的毛利。那2025年呢，那随着刚刚讲的这个产能和这个交付逐步的这个爬升，我们设定的这个毛利的基准目标呢是整个 onboard 品牌是 10%。那随着我们持续优化产品的这个成本结构，以及说随着我们乐道的新产品的后续的这个陆续加入，我们对于乐道品牌整体明年的毛利率目标呢是要逐步做到 15%。
Thank you for the question. For this year, as we have just launched and started to deliver the product at the early stage of the ramp up, and also because of the exclusive user rights for the early users, the actual vehicle margin for the onboard L60 is not very high. It's a positive gross margin, but in the single digit. For next year, for the year of 2025, as we ramp up both production capacity and the delivery volume, we expect that for the onboard brand, its vehicle margin will be around 10%, and that will be our baseline for the next year to work on. And with the continuous improvement on the product cost structure, and also with more products joining the overall lineup, we believe that for the next year, our overall vehicle margin target for the onboard brand will be around 15%.
Thank you, Min.
Your next question comes from Bin Wang with Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My product about new products in the second half. You just mentioned you will have a robust growth in 25, and the first half seems to be only some niche products such as the ET9 and a new brand. However, what's the plan for the second half? Do you plan to refresh, go to new generation for your key volume products such as the ET5, ET5 Touring, and ES6, ET6? All these 4 products will go to new generation or not in 2025 second half? Thank you.
谢谢王斌。这个明年确实我们 NIO 的品牌陆续的都会这个切换到新的一代的平台，所以我们会进入一个新的产品周期。那当然第一款产品是 ET9， 后续的陆续的会有这个新的产品上市当然有一些肯定也是现有产品的这个改款但是会在明年后年2年，我们基本上就会完成所有的这个产品的这个切换和升级所以这个是 step by step 都在做。那从onboard 的角度来讲的话呢，我们明年这个除了 L60 会这个上量以外我们还会有2款这个家用的这个 SUV 会推向市场。那这2款产品其实研发已经都进行一段时间了，现在已经在做最后的，也在做量产前的一些准备。那我们 在明年会完成乐道针对家庭市场的这个家用 SUV 的这个布局。那我们接下来两款产品，一款是这个中大型的这个6座、7座的 SUV， 还会有一款大5座的 SUV。那如果去做一个对比的话呢，我们差不太多，相当于理想的 L8、L7 这样两款产品当然这个因为它毕竟推出的要晚一些嘛，那个车也是非常有竞争力的。整个的成本我们控制的也非常的好。那这个我们现在 L60 和理想的 L6 比的话呢，差不多是差4万块钱左右吧。那我们相信我们新的这两款产品跟它的 L8、L7 比的话呢，也是有非常好的一个价格的竞争力。那明年的话呢，就加上我们的这个家电的线线通、充电线线通和换电的线线通，那我们也会加强我们的乐道的这个渠道和网络的建设，所以我们对于明年乐道的这个销量的增长是非常有信心的那当然还有这个 Firefly 的话呢，我们会交付我们全新的这个品牌的第一款产品。那 Firefly 的这个产品名这个也就是品牌名，所以我们这个和 Mini 的策略会比较像。这个 Firefly 它既是品牌名也是产品名。在21号 NIO Day 上，下个月就1个月后我们就会跟大家亮相产品也会亮相，品牌也会亮相，品牌会发布，产品会亮相。所以明年呢，就是总的来说吧，明年其实是整个未来会进入到一个新的这样的一个产品周期所以这也是我们明年增长的一个基础吧。我们对明年实现这个100%的这样一个销量的增长，我们总的来说还是有信心的。就翻的增长。
Thank you for the question. For next year, under the NIO brand, our products will be upgraded to the next generation platform, and ET9 will be the first product coming off from the latest generation platform. There are also other products in the pipeline. There will be also facelifts and upgrades. Those will be the facelifts and upgrades of our existing products. So basically, in 2025 and 2026, we will complete the upgrades of our existing NIO products step by step. Regarding the ONVO brand, next year we will continue to deliver and sell our first product, L60, but in the meantime, we also have another 2 family SUVs in the pipeline ready to launch into the market next year. The R&D of these 2 products is in good progress, and they are also getting ready for the mass production. Regarding with these 2 products launched into market, we will have a complete lineup for the family SUVs under the ONVO brand. For these 2 new products, one will be a mid-large size SUV offering with 6- and 7-seater versions, and another will be a large size 5-seater SUV. And these 2 products are pretty competitive regarding their cost structure and the product performance. A proper benchmark to look for will be L8 and L7 of Li Auto. If you look at our L60 with L6 from Li Auto, the price difference is around $40,000, and you will 40,000 RMB, and you will probably understand the rough price range for our next 2 ONVO SUVs. It will be also with the similar pricing strategy, and with that, the price will be highly competitive. In the meantime, we are also completing our charging and swapping network, especially with more facilities available in the county level places in China. In that case, with more comprehensive sales network and service network, we are very confident with the overall performance of the ONVO brand next year. Regarding Firefly, we are going to deliver our very first product of the Firefly next year. The product is actually named Firefly. We actually follow the mini strategy where the brand and the first product will share the same name. We are going to share more details on the brand and the product on December 21st this year at our NIO Day. Our brand will be making an official debut, and we will also unveil the first product. And overall speaking, we are very confident with this product and the brand lineup. With that, for the entire company, our sales volume next year will be doubling on top of this year's result.
Thank you. I got a second question about your service margin, because you actually have improving in the service margin in the third quarter to only negative 8.8. Can you explain what's the driver for the margin increase in the third quarter in the service, and what's your guidance for the number 4 quarter this year and 2025 for the service? It's going to be double single digit of negative gross margin in next year. So what's your guidance? Thank you.
好的，王明。Q3 的毛利提升的这个驱动因素呢，主要是2个方面。一个呢是我们零部件成本的这个持续优化，包括我们电池的成本和其他零部件的成本。其实跟这个以前的这个季度相比呢，还是有蛮大的这个提升。第二个呢，就是随着销量的这个提升呢，产量也到了一个新的这个高度吧。那产量提升以后呢，我们整个工厂的这个制造效率啊、分摊这些也有所提升，所以整个的毛利呢，从2季度的12.2到3季度的13.1。那4季度呢，作为蔚来品牌来说呢，它继续提升的这个动力呢，大概也是来自于2方面吧。一个呢，就是我们前述提到的，那我们还是要把 NIO 品牌呢建设成这个一个高端的这个品牌。那作为这个高端品牌的定位呢，我们还是会聚焦在它的盈利能力的提升，所以呢促销政策会适度的这个收紧。另外一个因素呢，还是我们会持续的去优化我们的这个供应链。那这2个因素加起来呢，所以我们有信心在 Q4 的时候把毛利呢继续再提升到15%。那2025年呢，整个的毛利的提升，也会有这几方面吧。一个呢是我们的这个整个的供应链的持续的提升。那这里面呢，我们在明年有一些很重要的关于我们智能硬件的一些迭代。那这样的话会给我们整个的成本带来比较重大的这个优化。那另外呢，我们明年呢，刚刚William 也提到我们未来产品的这个迭代。那随着这些产品的迭代呢，我们也会把更有这个产品竞争力和成本竞争力的产品呢引入到 NIO 的这个 portfolio 里面。所以这些共同的因素呢，其实会把 NIO 品牌呢在2025年这个毛利率呢再往上提升到20%。王斌，谢谢。
Thank you for the question. Regarding the vehicle margin improvement in the third quarter, it is mainly because of 2 drivers. The first is the improvements and optimization on the cost of the parts and components, including batteries and other parts. In the third quarter, such improvement is more significant than the previous quarters. And the second driver is as we are ramping up our sales volume, our production capacity and volume is also leveling up. In that case, we can also leverage the efficiency improvement and the better amortization on the manufacturing side. With that, we have improved our vehicle margin from 12.2% in Q2 to 13.1% in Q3. And going into the fourth quarter, for the NIO brand, as we've mentioned, our focus will be enhancing the premium positioning of this brand. In that case, we will keep improving the product profitability by dialing back on the marketing expenses and the promotions, and also keep improving our supply chain cost structure. With that, we are confident that we can gradually realize a vehicle margin of 15% in the Q4 this year for the NIO brand. Going into next year, we will also look for several key drivers to continuously improve our vehicle margin, including the improvements on the supply chain and the supply side. Next year, there will be several major iterations and upgrades on the smart hardware, which can further improve our cost structure. And also, as mentioned by William, next year, there will be iterations and facelifts on the NIO brand and the NIO products. By introducing more competitive products with more competitive cost structure into our portfolio, we can also improve the overall profitability of the brand. With that, we are also confident to realize a 20% vehicle margin for the NIO brand in 2025.
好，谢谢王斌。
Your next question comes from Yukon Ding with HSBC. Please go ahead.
Thanks, team. Yuchen here. I got two questions. The first is on the autonomous driving. What's the management would say the key milestone for NIO in the coming 6 to 12 months on this account? What's the key challenges at the moment? What is the biggest highlight of NIO's capability? Maybe give us a bit of a breakdown in terms of user adoption, end-to-end modeling, development, processing power, and its cost. Thank you.
好，谢谢宇倩。那我们在7月底的时候，我们在 NIO Inc 上，其实我们当时发布了这个我们首个这个智能驾驶的世界模型 NIO World Model。那这个的话呢，肯定我们相信这个基于世界模型的端到端是未来啊。那我们这个已经在把这个模型在开始用到量产车上去，事实上我们已经开启了先锋领航团的这样一些公众的体验。那这个之前的话呢，我们已经用端到端去做我们的这个主动安全的功能那我看最近有一些第三方的评测啊，就是我们的这个表现的话呢，应该说是远远要好于我们竞争对手我们同行的。那我们也可以看到，我们在这个 Onboard 上边，我们也是第一个用全视觉去实现城区的这个领航辅助功能的。那其实最近我们也这个有一个新版的更新啊，那个总体来说用户评价也非常不错。所以总的来说，接下来的话也可以看到我们在基于我们端侧的算力，基于我们整个的这个数据闭环，还有我们的世界模型新的这样的一些模型，端到端的模型，会看到我们在接下来的几个月里面，我们会有新的这样的一些版本会发布会逐步看到我们这样的一些投入的一些产出。而整个行业呢，现在就是可能就是每家都有自己的一些探索。那我们是按照自己的这个路径呢，也是在这个前进。所以总的来说，我们觉得我们对于这方面的领先，我们还是非常有信心的。
Thank you for the question. In late July at the NIO in 2024, we have introduced the NIO World Model and also the end-to-end solution based on the NIO World Model NWM. And we have already started to release some functionalities based on the new architecture and the World Model, and also have invited users for some internal testing and experience of this new architecture. Actually, before that, we have already released end-to-end active safety features, and in some third-party testing and assessments on the active safety performance of the electric vehicles, our performance is actually pretty good, better than many of our peers. And for the Onvo brand, it is also the first brand to deliver a vision-based navigation-guided smart driving for the urban roads. Recently, we have also just launched a new release, and our users also really appreciated and liked that feature. So overall speaking, with our computing power and sensing capabilities on the vehicles, with our data closed loop, and also our end-to-end world model, we will be leveraging these capabilities, and in the following months, there will also be several releases, and gradually you will see the effect coming from all this R&D investment. And for the entire industry, there are actually different roadmaps and solutions, and we have chosen this roadmap, and we are confident in the success and the result of that roadmap.
那从 AD 的 Smart Driving 的这个用户价值的角度来讲呢，我们实际上很早就一直提出来，这个智能驾驶的意思，解放精力，减少事故。那减少事故是一个基础啊。我们在早些时候我们也沟通了，我们的目标是明年我们希望能做到这个人车共驾比单独人开的话要安全10倍啊，事故率要低10倍。那现在来看的话，我们肯定是能完成这个目标的。所以我们认为智能驾驶首先要解决安全的问题啊。那在这个基础之上，我们再去看解决这个可用性的问题啊，包括这个解放精力的这样的一个体验和用户价值。这个是我们一直的一个非常坚持的一个路线。就像我们做端到端，我们也是先把端到端先用到主动安全上面啊。那我们看到了确确实实给用户带来了这个非常非常好的一个利益。
And regarding our smart driving, we always have this principle that is it should serve the benefits and the interests of our users. In that case, we have two principles. The first is that the smart driving should relieve the driving pressure of our users, and secondly, it should reduce the traffic accidents. And for next year, our target is that with the smart driving assisting the driving tasks of the human drivers, the safety level should be 10 times higher than solely driving by the human drivers. And this is actually an achievable target. And safety is always a top priority of our features. On top of that, by securing a good safety of the feature, we will then look at the usability and also the experience of the feature, such as further releasing the pressure and stress of driving. We have the same approach for our other features, like our end-to-end model. We started with active safety, and we see significant benefits on improving the safety of our users with that feature.
Thank you, William. The second question is break-even and capital requirement. It looks like next year is very exciting, fully loaded with a strong product cycle, also coupled with CapEx and OpEx intensity. So do we have a refreshed break-even timetable? And how do we look at the capital requirement in the coming 12 to 18 months?
Hi, 以前，对。那涉及到整个的这个资金的这个需求来说，其实我们在3季度实现了一个正向的自由现金流。那其实我们从目前的这个销量的指引，4季度来看呢，我们也是预计能够实现一个正向的运营现金流。那所以呢，25年呢，随着我们刚刚讲，一个是我们销量翻倍的整个大目标。以及说我们 quarter by quarter 的这个节奏，随着整个销量的这个提升呢，我们整个的经营现金流呢还是会实现一个正向的一个增长。那所以从一个现金的维度来看呢，就是这些经营现金流的增长呢，会支持到我的这个日常的 OPEX 需求，以及说我们的这些 CapEx。那所以这个是总体的我们说对于现金的一个情况。那整个所以从一个资金的这个维度呢，我们就融资的一个维度呢，我们其实是没有一个说是一个必须的这样的一个需求，而是说根据市场的情况来动态调整我们的融资的节奏。对。
Thank you for the question. Regarding the requirements for the capitals, in the third quarter of this year, we have realized a positive free cash flow. And in Q4, according to the current volume guidance, we expect to continue the positive free cash flow. And for the year of 2025, as we target to double our delivery volume, and also by controlling our spending and the pace quarter over quarter, we expect that we will continue a positive growth on our operating cash flow, and such growth will sustain our OPEX and CapEx on the activities. So regarding the capital requirement or in general fundraising requirement, we don't have a must-have agenda. Instead, we will adjust our fundraising plan and agenda according to the market more dynamically.
关于这个盈利的问题呢，我还是希望从3个点跟你这边跟大家沟通一下，就是一个呢就是大家也看到说，作为一个车企，一个在成长中的车企呢，其实销量对我们来讲是最重要的。那刚刚呢，我们也从3个品牌的维度呢去阐述了一下明年我们新产品的计划以及销量的计划。所以呢，随着这个3个产品的全部的亮相，以及说新产品的这个交付用户呢，明年呢我们的销量的增长，我们还是非常有信心的。那第2个点呢是关于这个毛利率，我们也讲了我们今年的 Q4 乃至明年的整体的一个毛利率的目标。那在销量的提升的基础上呢，我们也是有信心去实现这个毛利的逐步优化。那第3个点呢是我们还是会继续我们降本增效的这个工作内部我们其实有一个项目叫这个挖矿，从去年开始我们执行的还是不错。 那我们的目标呢是，随着我们销量的这个提升，那我们逐步的也去改善我们的这个成本的这个结构，实现成本的这个节约。所以整个呢，2025年随着我们预计随着整个销量的增长和刚刚所提到的这个运营改善呢，我们的这个亏损呢是会逐步收窄的。
And regarding your question on the profitability, I would like to answer to that from three perspectives. The first is that as still a young automotive company, sales volume is still a very important factor for us to consider. And just now we have introduced the product plan of all three brands for the next year. With new brands and new products coming into the market, we will be able to realize a higher volume, and we are also confident with our sales volume in the coming years. And the second is regarding the vehicle margin. We also will continue to improve our vehicle margin from Q4 this year together with our sales volume. And the third is the continuous cost saving and efficiency improvement initiative. Inside of the company, we actually started a project called cost mining to just identify the waste and also improve the cost structure and reduce or save costs on all aspects. And we also see pretty good effect with this initiative. With that, we expect that with improved volume, with improved operations, our loss will also be gradually narrowed.
对，所以刚才 Stanley 讲了我们实现盈利的一个路径。当然，从短期来讲的话呢，我们在研发投入方面，大家也看到了，我们其实基本上还是保持了一个比较高的研发支出。那在销售服务方面的话呢，我们的这个包括我们换电线通包括我们新的这些像乐道的这样的一些销售体系的建设、销售服务体系的建设，肯定也是有一些短期的压力的啊。那但是我们对于这个亏损持续收窄，那我们还是有信心的。那目前从整个公司来讲的话呢，我们还是以26年全年盈利作为我们的一个经营的目标啊。那我们也是按照这个去做的，也是按照这个去开展各方面的这个工作的。
This is William speaking. Stanley has just introduced our approach to narrow the loss. Regarding our overall expenses, our R&D expenses will be continue to stay at this relatively high level. And for the SG&A expenses, because of our Power Up county plans, we will roll out the charging and swapping networks, and also we will need to build up the sales and service network for the Onvo brand, so the SG&A expenses will also be under short-term pressure. But still, we will make sure that we are on the right track to gradually narrow our losses. And regarding the profitability, the entire company still use 2026 as the timing where we will achieve the full year break even, and we will be also planning our strategies and activities according to that target.
好，谢谢雨倩。
Your next question comes from Chang Jing with CICC. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my questions. So my first question is a following up question for the overseas market. So we actually laid out our brand and also models in Europe market quite early as a pioneer, but now we also see some peer brands companies, they accelerate their exposure in the European market. So can you share our current European market strategies, whether we can differentiate our brands and also to further expand our volume? Also, especially combined with the launch of Firefly new models next year, will there be a more aggressive overseas expansion target next year?
谢谢谭静。确实，这个 NIO 进入欧洲的话，我们已经有一段时间了啊。这个从总体的经营的角度来讲呢，就是肯定和我们当时的预期也是有一些差距。但是我们在 NIO 品牌进入到欧洲这件事情上来讲，是按照一个非常长期的规划的。但如果看到我们接下来的这个计划的话呢，因为我们有 Onvo， 我们有这个 Firefly， 那么这两个品牌的话，他们的这个能够进入的市场肯定是更多的。那所以我们接下来的全球的扩展呢，这个 Onvo 和 Firefly 会承担更大的这样的一个作用。 那从 NIO 来讲的话，因为它本身在一个 premium 的市场，如果把欧洲现在加上关税的话，它已经和这个很多车和保时捷的销售价格差不多了，所以确确实实它的市场的这个规模会受到一些这个限制。那我们还是会保持一个长期的这样的一个投入啊。那我们会把 Envoy 和 Firefly 在我们全球市场进入方面的优先级会提高，所以这是总体上的一个策略的调整，也不叫调整吧，其实这就是我们的一个既定的策略。可能接下来大家会看到 Envoy 和 Firefly 会进入到更多的国家和进入更多的这个市场。
Thank you for the question. It's true that NIO has been in the European market for a while, and its overall operations and performance didn't really live up to our original expectation. Yet for the NIO brand, our expectation for the European market is actually for a pretty long-term vision. And also starting this year and the next year, another difference is regarding our second and third brand, Envoy and Firefly. These two brands have a broader market globally. With that, we will also be able to continue our international expansion, leveraging these two brands, and these two brands will be playing a bigger role in our next step. Especially for NIO, it is a premium brand. Now with the tariff in Europe, its selling price is basically on par with the price of a Porsche. In that case, its market is becoming more and more limited. But we will still keep a long-term presence of the NIO brand in the European market. But in the meantime, we will prioritize the global expansion with the Envoy and the Firefly brand. That will be our strategy. So starting next year, you will see that Envoy and the Firefly products are becoming available in more and more countries and regions.
那还有一点的话呢，就是跟在中国市场不太一样，因为中国市场我们从高端市场做起，所以现在 Envoy 的话呢，可以去共享这个 NIO 前面建的这个换电站。但是如果我们在全球市场来看的话呢 ，Envoy 这样的这个价格肯定是 Envoy 的这个市场定位肯定是更能够这个把销量能够更快的有一个比较高的销量嘛。所以它对于我们建立这个换电网络来讲的话呢，是有一个很好的一个支撑。这样的话，从一个长期来讲的话呢，反而在海外的话，在中国以外的话，是 NIO 更多会依赖 Envoy 先建立的这个充换电的体系啊，所以这个是和在中国市场会有不一样的一些顺序。
And another difference is that here in the Chinese market, we started with the NIO brand for the premium segment. And then we established the power swapping and the charging network, and Envoy brand is now sharing all these established resources and network. But when it comes to the global market, actually, according to the product definition and brand positioning, Envoy actually has a larger market, and also it can ramp up to a higher volume much faster than the NIO brand. In that case, the power swap stations and the charging facilities deployed for the Envoy brand will then be leveraged by the NIO brand. So in the global market, actually the NIO brand will rely more on the Envoy brand. And with that, we will be establishing the charging and swapping facilities centering on the Envoy brand and the Firefly brand for the global market.
Okay, thanks. My second question is regarding to the other sales gross loss. So we can see the gross loss of other sales also narrowed significantly for the previous quarters. So which I think may be related to the increase in our sales volume and also the increase in our charging and swapping charges and also services. So how do we look forward to the trend of the gross profit margin of other sales, and whether we have an expectation when it can turn positive?
好的，小静。关于其他业务呢，我们在 Q2、Q3 呢实现了一个逐步的亏损的收窄和毛利率的提升。那主要的原因呢，一个是我们售后服务的这个效率的提升，在前面几个季度我们也提到过。另外一个呢，我们换电站网络的布局呢，也是因为我们4代站的这个研发。这个节奏的问题呢，在这段时间的这个布局的节奏有所放缓，所以整体的这个净亏损呢是实现了一个收窄。 当然在接下来的季度呢，我们整个的这个售后服务的这个效率和盈利能力呢，还是会持续的提升。但是为了支持整个未来，尤其是乐道品牌的这个销售提升呢，我们还是会坚持基建先行的这个策略。所以目前呢，整个换电站的布局呢已经开始提速。结合我们在之前公布的换电线通的计划，那整个的换电站的布局呢，明年也会在进一步的这个提速，以实现我们换电线通的这个目标。那提前布局呢，会给我们带来这个其他业务的亏损。当然我们的目标呢是希望我们售后业务的提升呢，能够去覆盖我们这个换电站提前布局带来的这个损失，但是这里面呢，可能还是需要我们去付出更多的这个努力了。对，大概是这样的一个情况和发展的趋势。
Thank you for the question. Regarding other business, in the second and third quarter, we have narrowed the losses on other business and also improved the gross margin. This is mainly because on the one hand, we have been improving the efficiency of our after-sales services, and on the other hand, because of the R&D pace of the fourth generation power swap station, we had slowed down the network deployment and infrastructure construction of the power swap stations. With that, our net loss has narrowed in the third quarter. But in the coming quarters, we will, on the one hand, we will still continue to improve the efficiency and also the profitability of our after-sales services. However, on the other hand, for the entire company, especially for the Onvo brand, we will need to speed up our infrastructure construction so that we will have our power swap stations and other facilities built in advance earlier than the actual need. And in the meantime, with our Power Up Counties plan, for the coming quarters, we will speed up the installation and construction of these swap stations. With that, there will be higher loss on other business. But overall speaking, we hope that the profitability or the improvement on the after-sales services can offset the loss we have on the advanced deployment of these power swap facilities. That will be our overall strategy.
谢谢常静。
Your next question comes from Paul Gong with UBS. Please go ahead.
Hi, William. Thanks for taking my questions. Two questions here. The first question is regarding the demand visibility for the Onvo L60. You seems to be pretty confident with 20,000 unit of the volume of the L60 delivery in March. That would put L60 on par to Xiaomi SU7 and the Li Auto L6 for now. But when you consider right now it is a peak season with the help of the stimulus, and moving to Q1 is going to be slack season with perhaps less policy support. How do you have such visibility? Will you carry over, let's say, significant amount of the backlog you take from right now into the Q1 delivery, or how do you have such kind of strong visibility for the 20,000 delivery in March?
谢谢 Paul。我们对于这个 L6 的这个需求还是非常有信心的。那么近期的话呢，确确实实因为要等这个，前面我也讲过了，因为要等的时间相对要长一些，同时的话呢又有这个补贴啊，这个年底要到期的问题，所以近期的这个如果去看的话呢，我们可能这个需求和9月份比的话呢，肯定是没有那么的 hot。但是我们看一个很重要的一个数字，就是我们的市价的转化率的话呢，那我们看到是在非常高的一个高位啊。这个当然具体的数字这个我不方便去说，但是我们现在如果去看的话，我们的市价的转化率是要远远高过我们任何一款别的包括 NIO 的这样的一些车型。所以我们看到，也就是说它的总体在它所在的这个市场的话，它和同等的竞争对手相比的话，它的产品和价格的竞争力是非常的强的，所以这一点我们是非常有信心的。那我们现在的话呢，这个一个主要的工作的话呢，还是我们要把我们的这个网络的 coverage 就是要去尽快的建立起来。我们现在这个还只有190多家的这个门店， 那从一个区域覆盖的角度来讲的话呢，还是这个不够高的啊。那这个其实和特斯拉相比的话，和理想相比的话，其实还是比较低的。那我们所以接下来的话呢，我们会继续的话呢，去开更多的门店，把我们的销能的话要建起来。那这些作用的话呢，都会在接下来的话呢，会持续的去大家能够看到。那么从1月份开始，大家其实基本上在补贴这件事情就在一个水平线了。所以我们认为叠加本身基于它的产品力，基于我们的销能的提升，还有这种补贴的影响，到1月份的话呢，就能够去消除的话，那我们对于这个L60的需求的话，我们还是非常非常有信心的，因为我们对于它的产品力，对于这个整个的包括换电的这样的一个网络的持续的建设，那所以这个我们从目前来讲的话，我们的信心度是非常高。
Thank you for the question. We are confident in the demand for the L60, as in the recent several months, the wait time for the L60s, the wait time for the delivery of the L60 is relatively long, and also as starting next year, some of the subsidies on the vehicles will be gone. In that case, our short-term demand is affected because of this disturbance. But if you look at the actual conversion rate from test drive to order, you will see a pretty high rate. Please forgive me that I cannot disclose the specific number, yet this conversion rate is higher than any existing new products. So overall speaking, with a competitive product, with a competitive price, we are confident with this product, even against the competition in the market. And for the moment, our main focus is to enhance the coverage of its sales and service network. At the moment, it has around 190 Onvo stores. And for the next step, we will enlarge the coverage, as in comparison to Tesla and Li Auto, such coverage is not extensive enough. So we will open more stores, we will enhance and enlarge our sales force. Gradually, you will see the positive effects of these actions. And starting January next year, as the subsidies will be basically be cancelled or removed for all the products in the similar segment, in that case, we will be on the same level for the competition. But with a stronger product competitiveness and also established sales capacity and capability, we are confident with the L60's overall performance.
Thank you. My second question is regarding the next generation platform, NT3. I think the NT2 versus NT1 has a significant improvement of the autonomous driving calculation power, including the 4 rings, and also has improved some of the powertrain efficiency. Right now, when you are thinking about designing the NT3, how do you think of the platform in terms of, let's say, the computing power for the AD, the battery size, the power of the motor, and the system integration, architecture, etc. So can you give us a little bit of color of the technology direction of the NT3 platform, please?
谢谢。那我们其实如果去看的话，对于 NIO 来说 ，ET9 就是我们的这个全新平台的第一款车型，所以你可以看到它不管是从高压的架构，还是从这个EE 的架构，还是从这个我们的操作系统，还是从我们的 AD 的这个Central 这个 Computing Cluster 会用我们自己的这个神机芯片，那还有我们整个的传感器，这个都会如果你去看的话呢，其实有非常不一样的这个和我们现在的产品肯定是有一个非常大的一个跃升。所以基本上就是我们会把 ET9 上的这些技术陆续的会用到这个后续的这样的一些产品上面去那么基于这个去做我们现有的这些产品的这个迭代。所以它其实从技术来讲的话，我认为是我们整个 NIO 在过去10年整个这个在技术投入方面的算一个阶段性的一个结晶之作吧，所以也是我们接下来往后的产品迭代的非常重要的一个基础。
For the NIO brand, the ET9 will be the first model coming off from our latest generation technology platform. It is equipped with many new things, including high voltage architecture, e-architecture, operating system, smart driving capabilities enabled by our in-house developed chip for the smart driving, and also advanced and high performance sensors. So if you look at its configuration and performance, it is quite different from any of our existing products. It is basically at a different level. And gradually, these technologies will be trickling down to our future products on the third generation platform. We will use these technologies to iterate and upgrade our existing products. And for ET9, it is the embodiment of our R&D investment and the results achieved in the past 10 years.
Thank you, Paul.
Your next question comes from Tina Hu with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thanks, management, for taking my questions. The first one is regarding operating expenses. In terms of R&D, I also see that usually in the fourth quarter there is around about close to 1 billion of RMB of higher R&D expense versus third quarter. Should we expect a similar type of seasonality into 4Q24? And also for 2025, as we continue to develop new products and then continue to invest in autonomous driving and other technologies, what level of R&D spending are we looking at? And also for sales and marketing in 2025, seeing that this year we launched one model, the Envoy L60, but next year we're going to launch 4 new models. So it doesn't seem like the SG&A expense is going to slow down in terms of the growth. Is my understanding correct? Thanks.
Hi, Tina. 关于R&D expense， 一个呢就是我们在研发强度上基本上还是维持季度30亿左右的这样的一个投入的规模。那从季度的这个波动来看呢，还是随着我们这个研发的这个进度和强度，那每个季度呢会增减一些。那您刚刚问到这个4季度的这个情况呢，目前从预测上来看呢，确实是会比3季度多一些，因为它也是随着我们的刚刚讲的这些新产品的这个研发的节奏有所提升。那从2025年整体的这个研发的这个投入的规模上来讲呢，我们其实依然会维持今年的差不多的这个强度，也就还是说呢，每个季度在30亿左右 non-GAAP 的这个投入。那因为我们的整个的研发团队的规模也基本还是在目前11000人左右的这样的一个规模，那随着项目的这样的一个变化可能会有所增减。第二个呢，在这个销售管理费用上呢，刚刚其实我也讲到，就是明年呢随着我们销量的提升，那季度白季度来说呢，我们还是整个的目标还是说去提升我们 SG&A 占到销售收入的这个比例，那希望能够去实现这样的一个效率的提升。
Regarding the R&D expenses, in general, we will be having our investment in R&D for around 3 billion RMB per quarter, and we will be stabilizing at around that level. But because of the differences of the projects and also at the different stages of the product R&D, the actual spending, there will be ups and downs in the actual spending for every quarter. For example, in the fourth quarter of this year, the R&D expenses will be higher or is expected to be higher than the third quarter. That is also mainly because of the products are at the different stage of R&D and the cycle, and the expenses will also be different accordingly. For the year of 2025, we will also keep our R&D expenses at around the same level. That is around 3 billion RMB per quarter on the non-GAAP basis. We will also keep the R&D team in the rough similar size, around 11,000 people. And then as we progress with our R&D projects and product development, there will also be slight ups and downs in the R&D expenses on a quarterly basis. But in general, it will be around 3 billion. Regarding the SG&A expenses, as also I've mentioned, in line with the increase of our sales volume, we will also have SG&A expenses going up. But we will also manage this quarter-over-quarter so that we can make sure that we optimize the ratio of the SG&A in comparison to the overall sales revenue.
Thanks, Stanley. So my second question is regarding the share of losses of equity investee. So we've seen over the past 3 quarters that we have seen a negative number, and that number has been expanding. So is this related to the battery as a service operation? And then how should we think about this loss from the equity investee going forward? Thanks.
是，在3季度呢 ，share of loss of equity 的确实有一些增加。那我们呢，出于整个公司战略的考虑呢，也是在整个围绕着未来所在的产业呢，也做了一些这个投资。那这些3季度的这个增加呢，是亏损的这个增加呢，主要还是来自于被投资企业的这个亏损。那这样的一个竞争激烈的行业，所以这个亏损也还是比较正常的。那未能呢，它其实每一个季度的每年的每个季度，它其实是一个盈利的状态，所以呢，未能不会给我们的这个 account 带来一个亏损的增加。说到未能呢，其实未能今年的整个的业务规模，随着我们1季度的这个 bus 调价以后呢，整个 bus 的渗透率其实上升的也是非常快。那蔚来和乐道2个品牌的销量增加之后呢，其实给未能的整个的这个业务的规模也带来非常大的这个增量。所以呢，从一个盈利能力上来讲，未能今年是比去年的盈利能力是提升的非常多。
Thank you for the question. In the third quarter, the share of the losses of the equity had an increase. That is mainly because for the entire company, we have made some investments into the upstream and the downstream companies centering on this industry. And in the third quarter, the loss went up is mainly because of the losses of our investee, which is also acceptable and understandable as they are also in a highly competitive industry. In terms of Weilong, which is our battery asset management company, its actual business means that it will not worsen our losses on the shares, because if you look at its actual business since Q1 this year, after we have adjusted the prices for the battery as a service monthly subscription fee, we actually have witnessed a higher take rate on the bus service, especially in the second half with both NIO and the onward products into the market. The business actually experienced a growth with the battery asset management. In that case, it has a pretty promising profitability going forward.
谢谢。
As there are no further questions, now I'd like to turn the call back over to the company for closing remarks.
Thank you again for joining us today. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us through the contact information provided on our IR website. This concludes the conference call. You may now disconnect your line. Thank you.